The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
Welcome back, everybody, to You Bet Your Ass, a Patreon exclusive podcast where we cover the week's biggest sports bets. Of course, we are broadcasting live from the National Automobile Museum in downtown Reno. If you want tickets or information, just head over to automuseum.org. You can get all the information you need, want, love there. I'm Kristian Fenix. With me always is the Charles Davis to my Iron Eagle, the GMan. How you doing, GMan?
Oh, man. Give some background on those guys.
Those are just the CBS guys. They typically do the morning, one of the morning games. I'm reaching down a little bit into my
it's been 18,
team of commentators.
14 weeks since we started doing this.
Yeah, and so it's, we've reached a point where, we're not quite to the radio commentator teams yet, but
right. We only got a few more weeks left.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do it.
You'll appreciate this. Their commentating, their rules partner is Gene Steratore. So, at least they've got some quality there.
Yeah, absolutely. Gene does a good job. He doesn't have the muscles of Hockley.
No.
I think his son's, Ed Hockley's son, I think I saw him as a white hat.
He is.
So,
not quite as rules focused as his dad or explanatory, but still kind of long-winded. But
yeah, I would imagine that he's probably wanting to kind of make his own way too. He's not wanting to, be a duplicate of his dad.
Exactly.
So,
well, all of that goes to say that, we have wrapped up our last regular season week, which was last week. We do like to take a look back and see how things fared. And you know what? You broke the losing streak trend. It wasn't a streak, but it was a pattern. You went 11-5.
Right.
Overall win percentage 54.04%
for the year.
Yeah. Total win, if you were playing the $2 tally, is $14.60.
The highest it's been since we started keeping track.
Not bad, if I may say so.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. We had a late season. It normally happens too. The last few weeks of the season, I guess it's just like acclimated. And of course, you never know. You don't know what's going on with the teams and the point spreads and stuff like that. Nothing is ever the same each year, and certainly week by week.
Well, and we've said it multiple times that this year has been oddly different. Obviously we have one more regular season game this season. We have all of the COVID protocols, injuries. Nothing went to plan this season, but when all was said and done with the regular season, still over 500.
Hey.
Yep, 54%.
I love it.
It's a great place to be. But with the regular season being over, that means we are headed into wild card weekend, or as they like to call it, super wild card weekend.
Yeah.
I guess because there's another 2 games as opposed to normal, or
super wild card. Well, there's 2 more. Yeah, there's 2 more games overall, and so instead of 4, there's 6.
And they started that 2 seasons ago.
This year, it's the first year.
Oh, I thought.
This is the first time that there was a 7 seed.
Wow. Yeah, everything's weird. Everything's different.
Yeah, and I think it was propelled with the additional game. It was probably presented to the Players Association as, hey, there's going to be one more game because the players weren't a fan of. Mm-hmm. More risk
for injury,
all that stuff, and and it dilutes their annual play if you're getting, if you're whatever your contract is divided by 17 is less than 16, so they're per game check.
Right.
And so that was the one thing. Well, we're going to expand the playoffs. Playoffs?
Well, and this last regular season series of games didn't disappoint. Went all the way to the end with the Raiders and Chargers game, which was
game.
So much fun to watch. It could have come down to a tie where they both would have been in if it wasn't for that, field goal there at the end by the Raiders.
Very interesting. I thought it was ludicrous, to entertain the notion that two teams would collude, to conspiratorial type of stuff. It's fun to talk about, but it actually played out when the thing happened with the 2-point conversion, and it brought them within a touchdown, which is a real number. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It wasn't this obscure little 15 points, for example. That's where you're saying, okay, this isn't going to end in a tie.
Right.
But then of course it goes into overtime. And you know what? The most amazing part about what happened and what we saw was all of the fourth down conversions that the Chargers made to just keep clawing back in. I mean, you have to give your, that credence and all the things. It was like, I think there was one like 4th and 19 or 4th and goal from the 19 or something like that. And he just lasered it right in, not counting the game tying touchdown.
Yeah. And I think they were saying that with 6 fourth down conversions, that was the first time in NFL history that has ever happened.
See,
that a team's ever
so
done
that doesn't surprise me. As you're watching it, you're just expecting, just like, okay, well, they're not going to make this one. Damn, they did it again.
Yeah.
Damn, they did it again. And it seemed like they did it so much that it was more than 6. It seems like they did that like 8-10 times.
And based on the way both teams were playing, I think that Herbert absolutely deserved to win that game. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out that way. But even after the fact, the articles were saying, oh, it looked like, maybe there was some collusion. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Both of these teams played it out.
Well, when the Raiders were on the field and the Chargers called that controversial timeout, the camera caught Herbert mouthing, what the beep did we call a timeout?
Right.
What the beep did we call a timeout? And so he was hoping, obviously, at that point, knew he wasn't going to get the ball back. They forced the Raiders into that 3rd down. And I tend to agree. I think that if they would have just, what's the coach's name of the Chargers? Brandon Staley?
Brandon
Staley?
I don't know.
I think it's Brandon Staley, right? He's so, I know, every time I was just like, God, this guy looks like he's
Staley.
He's like, just hired for a high school coach.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, when they called that timeout, I was like, what? And I thought in the moment that this would tend to piss the other coach off. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like it necessarily pissed him off, but I don't think if it did that he would disclose that either. Right. If he, was just like, MF, I was going to tie the game and get you into the playoffs too, but now you want to act like that, I don't know why I started talking like that, but it's just kind of like the attitude, And then, of course, it gives them time, the offensive players, to kind of reacclimate instead of kind of being, Anyway, it was a questionable call, and it's going to be talked about for a long, long time. Yeah. Did you see the shot of the Steeler fans?
Yeah.
They look like he was a couple Steeler buddies, and just like, oh, please don't tie. Please don't tie. Please don't tie. Please don't tie.
Yeah. And they looked defeated every time the game got tied back up. Then it went into overtime.
And Tomlin was sleeping.
Right. Hey.
He said he was sleeping. He's glad he was,
He figured it wasn't going to end in a tie.
Well, at 15 points, that's what he said. I got stuff to do tomorrow.
Right.
I'm going to bed.
He's got playoffs to plan for.
Playoffs? I'm going to keep doing that for the next few weeks. So
I got to pull up that soundbite at some point. And, it's so much fun. All right. And before we get off into our kickoff pick, a couple disclaimers. We do want to remind everybody that, the betting, the suggestions, the things that we provide here are for entertainment purposes only. We obviously suggest that you never bet more than you're willing to lose, more than you have. Don't go out and borrow money and try and think, I'm going to put it all on the Chargers and then the Raiders win it in the end.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things that, bet responsibly. Obviously, if you watch the NFL, those commercials are all over, and they want to remind everybody that, it's all in good fun. And, if you have a chance to win, if you do well, great, but don't bet more than you're willing to lose.
Yeah. And it's, it's interesting, what's happened over the years. You got somebody like Pete Rose that got in trouble, for, of course, like not just in trouble, but he's barred from being able to be eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, which I think is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I think most people agree that it's ridiculous. Was it a poor judgment? Of course, hindsight. I think that he would even admit that. But he wasn't betting on the games. He was giving somebody else the money.
Right.
So that's what I would do if I was trying to circumvent the rules. So, and also he wasn't betting against his team. And that would be, again, shoeless Joe Jackson, type of thing, the Black Sox scandal and stuff.
Yeah. Throwing games.
And I'm sure that he knew that. Everybody knows that history of baseball, and that's probably why he made those little adjustments, And so that being said, gambling, don't be looking to knock off an armored car, to fund your gambling addiction and stuff like that. But they're doing a good job. But there's way more betting and wagering shows that are on now, which is of course good for the gaming industry.
Yeah.
But also it affords us to be able to get more information that we can, of course, pass on in what we're doing here and amongst friends and, of course, for ourselves.
Exactly.
To be able to, it's been a good year. It's been a good year.
It has. Now, speaking of adjustments, which you mentioned with Pete Rose, the other thing we recommend is, doing some in-play and, making small adjustments based on, the information we give you guys, as we say each and every week, is up to midday on Thursday. Well, things change over the next couple days. And so you always have that opportunity with in-play, especially on the mobile apps, to be able to make changes by the quarter, by the half, whatever it may be. So that way, if things do change, you've already locked in based on what we've said. Well, you can hedge those bets a little bit. Yeah,
and we've talked about it before. One of the great things that I love about the in-play option is being able to every once in a while catch a middle. And so I have a couple of stories that just happened. One being the Raiders game. I didn't have any wager before the game, as a matter of fact, except for the progressive. And I had 2 tickets with one with the Raiders and one with the Chargers. And so that being said, I just watched the way that things unfolded. Raiders go out to a 10-point lead. Okay. And prior to that, I forgot to say that they were at 150. Okay. So I put a small wager, on the Raiders plus 150. And then the Chargers were plus 3.5. And so I'm like, Raiders, Chargers are probably going to come back a little bit. And so I banged a 3.5, which isn't a big middle, but it hit, got plus 3.5 for the Chargers, Raiders money line. So caught that middle. Another one happened, sitting at home. There's a basketball game on. I'm like, oh, who is this? Iona versus Fairfield, right? College basketball.
Right.
And so I saw that I think Fairfield was up 7-0 or something like that. And the announcer said, Fairfield is up on, favorites Iona. And so I look on ESPN before the game. Iona was 7-point favorite. So there's about 12 points left in the game. I check at the first half, and they were down by 7 at halftime. And they were now tied for the second half.
Okay.
And so you had a 7-point favorite that was plus 120 on the money line. So I just had a few bucks, that were left in there. And so I threw it all on Iona. Didn't even pay attention to the game, watched the game. A few hours later, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even check to see what happened. Then the amount was doubled, so 51 something nice dollars.
Surprise,
in there. And then, so anyway, then I, made a bet on one more game, turned $21 into 119. Boom, took $100 out. You know what I mean? And so it's just fun,
right?
So and again, it's not a guarantee, but what happens is that over time, especially if we talk about it more on the show through the college basketball season that's in play right now. We're going to be talking more about it leading up to March Madness. We're definitely going to probably be getting more into that and using some examples as time approaches.
Exactly. Well, folks, let's go ahead and kick things off with our kickoff pick, which is our freebie pick. Give you guys a little taste of what we do for the non-Patreon subscribers. And of course, if you like what we have to say and you want to continue on, just head over to patreon.com/YouBetYourAss and sign up for as little as $3 a month, as much as $10 a month, but you get a lot of value. $3, it's audio only. $5 is audio and video. $10, you get the bonus bets each week, and then you get some fantasy insight from myself. And so a whole lot of value for very little money.
Yeah, $3 a month. You could actually be listening to the picks while you're doing your morning yoga.
Exactly. You know,
just makes sense.
We can put on our NPR voices, and
yeah.
You can just tune in.
This is much better.
Get your chi in check.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah. Now you're going into some scary territory. But in any case, our kickoff pick this week is the very first game of the week. It's the Saturday game. You've got the Raiders, who just barely got in, against the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals -6.5 by the hook. This is both Burrow's and Carr's first playoff appearances. Obviously Burrows, because he's just a young buck. Carr, he got his team to the playoffs, but broke a leg and never had a chance to play. Bengals are still looking really good. They've got Burrow, they've got Mixon, Jamar Chase. I don't know if the Raiders will be able to compete. And, with 6.5 points, I'd almost put that higher, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the reason that it's as high as it is because when they met earlier in the year in Vegas, Bengals showed up, Raiders didn't.
Yep.
And so not just that, but just the recent play of Burrows, namely the Kansas City Chiefs game, the week 16, that was pretty good stuff, going against Patrick Mahomes, even though it was in Cincinnati. They did it. And I mean, that was super impressive. And it was a comeback game for them too. They were down by 14 points. So as it says here, the Bengals have the best set of offensive skill players in the league. You can't, really debate that, the three receivers, Jamar Chase, even though he's a rookie, that guy's number one receiver. He's big, fast, and it seems like his navigational skills, let's put it like that, once he catches the ball, is just eye-opening. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, to complement that, you want to double bracket the number one receiver, Jamar Chase, and then you still got something to deal with. Not to mention their tight end, CJ Uzomah. Is that how you say that?
Something like that, right?
Uzomah. And then, of course, Joe Burrows, going against Derek Carr. You got a 8-year veteran, first time in the playoffs. But this one again, initially, it's like the Raiders, the way that they've been playing, plus 6.5. I'm like, that's initially, but upon further inspection, I think, just considering all those things, matching up the defense, the Raiders, of course, have been, I guess, playing above, I think, what they're should and probably be at as far as the secondary. And I just think that they're just going to be outmatched, in this. Not to mention, you got these guys are traveling all the way to the, Cincinnati, Ohio. It's pretty much the East Coast. So,
and the Raiders, I think, will have Waller back, but even as we found about mid-season, is most teams figured Waller out.
Yeah, and he played the Chargers game. He had a pretty decent game.
That's right.
But I just think that, of course, the Raiders, with everything that's happened this year, first you have they've made the playoffs without a head coach. I mean, an interim head coach. Yeah. So you got the Gruden thing that happened. The unfortunate accident with Henry Ruggs, that happened in the middle of the year. So just the fact that they've made the playoffs, I think, is just a huge accomplishment, but at the same time, it's going to be a huge drain in this situation against these Bengals.
I agree. It's going to be a tough mountain to overcome. They might have a chance, but I don't see it playing out that way, but you never know. All right, well, that does it for the freebie pick, the kickoff pick. And as a reminder, if you do want to subscribe, just head over to patreon.com/YouBetYourAss. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of things. And, this is one of those weeks where, we don't have 14 games. We don't have 17 games. We don't have 16 games. We've got 6 games. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into each of the games. And then we're going to talk a little bit during the Sports Betting for Dummies on what our plan is after actually kind of mixing in with the NFL season to bring you guys some more content moving forward.